Now we're ready?
Yeah, now we're ready.
Okay. I want to ask a few questions about the budget and I don't see it on the agenda. So the reason why I think it's important is because people are getting absentee ballots and they want to vote. And I'm not exactly sure they have all the information they need. First, I want to thank you for the town report. I got mine on Saturday. That's not acceptable. Guys, the law says 10 days prior to the annual town meeting, which is Saturday. I've asked Floyd to check into that. I don't know what the penalty is. She said, I've never had anybody ask that before. And I said, well, I'm asking. I'm looking at page 107 of the new town report. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to talk about the town, not the school. Page 140. And it gives an estimated municipal tax rate. But I'm confused and I hope I can have an answer because I took my last town report and I combined for simplicity, I combined the general fund and the highway fund because I wanted to know without the solid waste fund, what year over year more money was. And it is when you combine those two and the budgets are asking for so much money, but really what matters to residents is the property taxes. So if you do that math, it increases year over year by $241,000. If you take the articles that were voted on last year compared to the articles that will vote on Tuesday, it's $241,000 difference. If you do that on a percentage basis, that alone is 9.6% up in taxes year over year for those two funds. But yet I'm reading in the town report here on page 140, it says, it doesn't say that. It says like 7%. So can you clarify that?
Yeah, I can absolutely do that for town meeting, not tonight, set all the numbers in front of me. But I will look into that, Dave. However, the numbers were double and triple checked by our team, but I will ensure to take a look at it.
Well, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a little chatter outside about, why is the school up so much and the town not? The narrative of that is, in fact, it's turning out to be the opposite. Well, not complete opposite, but it's reversing because while the budget might be up 3.78 or 3.87, the tax rate needs to climb dramatically.
And that's due to the use of prior year's fund balance to offset property taxes. And this year we had less fund balance to work with.
But I also noticed we've got a hiccup in delinquent taxes.
That report was published as of that day. Those delinquent taxes typically settle within the next couple of months.
So my next question is, can you say now, because if you take the special articles, and I know in the past, we've done this before the town meeting. I mean, we're being broadcast now, and I really feel that people need to know because of absentee ballots. Can you say what the taxes will be if all articles passed? Because that's what the school does. The school has estimated what the homestead and the non-homestead will be, a complete unit, one size. There, you have what it is.
And I have been asked to produce that from a board member, and I did tell that board member I would have that prepared, and it will be prepared this week for town meeting. That will be a tax rate if all articles pass. That's what you're looking for, right?
It's the most straightforward way. I did it. It's a little scary. It's 20.58 cents. That's a lot of money, folks. That's a really lot of money. And I'm not saying to vote no. I'm saying that you have in your life, in my life right now, at my farm, I have one house, a bunch of barns, a bunch of woods, and a bunch of fields. I pay $10,240 in property taxes to the town. That's $28.05 every day of my life. That's a lot of money to me. And anything that I go through, I check to see whether or not it's worth it, what I buy, diesel fuel I price. I'm hoping the town does the same thing. But if it goes up 12%, I'm really feeling a lot of uncertainty. With senior citizens, with young families as well, they're gonna have to work more. And I'm not sure of this picture.
And I think we can go through that in detail on that town meeting.
Okay. Well, maybe if you have I know you've got another meeting on Thursday. I mean, maybe in the very beginning, you can say, if all articles pass.
I don't mind doing that. I don't mind preparing it tomorrow and sending it out tomorrow.
Or you could post it on the town website or,
Yeah.
and you know, I have a problem with that too, because a lot of people have breaks and they don't have necessarily are on the computer. I've tried to stay off it more. I want my life. And so, but I think on the other hand, the town has an obligation to get out that information as fast as they can.
I'll produce it tomorrow.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Okay. Review minutes of the previous meeting of February 9th, 26. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
I move we accept the minutes.
Okay. Okay, discussion?
On page 3 in the first paragraph, the first sentence just doesn't make sense. There's something missing. What was my only?
Is that under the town website discussion?
You know, I didn't even.
Yeah, the first
Was the
sentence said, Mrs.
Selectboard
Burrs
report.
inquired about the status of this project, asked Ms. Burrs for investigation.
Yes, I think I missed a punctuation mark on the word.
Yeah,
That it?
that was it.
Set the motion to, is there, set the minutes as with the correction? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Motion carries. Weathersfield contribution to the 250th anniversary celebration. You?
Combination, yeah, go ahead, you wrote
Let me kick it off
the
then.
letter,
Yeah.
sure, yeah, that's fine.
Alright, so the state of Vermont, through the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission, has invited municipalities to formally participate in the statewide commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and the founding of Vermont. Communities are encouraged to adopt a formal resolution establishing a local liaison or committee to coordinate with the state on activities occurring between 2025 and 2027. Attached for the board's consideration is a draft resolution specific to the town of Weathersfield. Adoption of this resolution would officially recognize the Weathersfield 250th Committee as the town's designated liaison to the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission. It would establish the committee as a volunteer body. It would authorize the town to coordinate with the state commission on related activities and allow the town to provide funding for these efforts. The Weathersfield 250th Committee has further requested that the select board formally recognize the play we most ardently desire. Ardently desire, as Weathersfield's official 250th contribution. The production is intended to serve as the town's primary cultural and historical offering in connection with the anniversary observance. So the purpose of this agenda item is threefold: officially recognize the Weathersfield 250th Committee. Second, adopt the Vermont 250th Anniversary Resolution. And then I think the committee itself, I may have misspoke here, the committee itself would formally request the play we most ardently desire as the town's designated 250th contribution. This action positions Weathersfield to participate fully in the statewide initiative while maintaining local control over the nature and scope. This is the invitation letter here on the screen, inviting us to be a part of this. And then this is the resolution. Did the board have an opportunity to review it?
Do we already have a committee?
We do not. This would establish it. Well, wait a second. I'll turn it over to you.
We have a group of people who are offering to be this committee because they've been working on this play for close to 2 years now. And they are here this evening asking that the board officially recognize them as our 250th committee. And then they have a request that we recognize the play as the town's official contribution to the 250th commemoration. We'd like to introduce them.
Yes.
All right, John Waite, Ellen Plattenberg, Patty Arison. Mark Richardson is also part of this group, but he's not here this evening, and myself.
Do we have to appoint them or is?
I think the board could, adopt this resolution and turn around and appoint them in the same meeting if it's urgent, or. We
It
can
is
put it on
urgent.
next.
It is urgent. We're planning to put on the play again in July. I'll let the committee folks talk about that, but this has been in the works for almost 2 years now. It's coming into home stretch, so I'd like to keep it going.
I'll make the motion to adopt the resolution, as the first motion.
Man,
Go ahead.
the names again, John Wade, Ellen Clattenburg, Patty Harrison,
Mark Richardson,
Richardson. And is there another?
DeForest Burse,
So there's 5 people,
yes.
correct? So make a motion to recognize the official Weathersfield 250th committee as the town's designated liaison and 50th commission. John Wyatt, Ellen
Wait.
Clattenburg, John Waite, Ellen Clattenburg, Patty Harrison, Mark Richardson, DeForest Spears. That sound about right? Yeah.
Second. Any discussion? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you very much.
How about,
Yeah.
how about some discussion, we've got some people here that like to speak.
Yeah.
Do we have to adopt this was part of your motion to adopt this resolution?
That was just
That
to,
was just to point.
that was just the committee.
Okay,
So
so we need a
that-
second motion to adopt this resolution, and then I would like to have the committee make their presentation.
Okay, all right, so the second motion is to do what? To adopt,
Do you want to read the whole thing?
the resolution is down here,
One more.
right
There
there.
you go.
So, yeah, why don't you read the motion, the resolution first?
Vermont 250th Anniversary Resolution. A resolution of the town of Weathersfield, state of Vermont, supporting the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission. Whereas Vermont Governor Phil Scott signed an executive order to create the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission on December 15th, 2020, to plan, encourage, develop, coordinate, and promote observances and activities to be held in Vermont in commemoration of the historic events associated with the 250th anniversary of the 1776 signing of the Declaration of Independence, the Revolutionary War between 1775 and 1777, the founding of Vermont in 1777, and the creation of the political foundations of the United States of America. Whereas the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission hopes to engage all 252 towns and cities through their many programs, projects, and events over the next several years, thereby inspiring future leaders and celebrating Vermonters' contribution to the nation over the last 250 years. Whereas by adoption of the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission, we hope to inspire Vermonters to learn from the history, legacy, and context of the past to build stronger communities for the future. Resolve, the town of Weathersfield officially establishes a liaison or local committee made up of a diverse group of citizens or individuals to work with the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission on any or all activities. The participants of the town of Weathersfield are voluntary roles. There will be no compensation for participation. Resolve, the town of Weathersfield may provide funding for planning or implementation of the 250th related commemorations in their community or region as available. Resolve that a copy of this resolution be sent to the Vermont 250th Anniversary Commission. And then is the motion adopted by the select board of the town of Weathersfield.
Make a motion to adopt the Vermont 250th anniversary resolution.
Okay.
Any discussion?
I'd like to call everyone's attention to a hand that has been raised.
Right. Can't see who it is. Dr. Murray. Dr. Murray. Go ahead, Mr. Murray.
Thank you, Chair. I don't see any concerns with adopting the resolution. It was properly warned in the select board packet. I also think it's absolutely wonderful that Weathersfield is going to be involved in our 250th celebrations across the country. I do have one concern. I see one thing that you've done tonight is out of order. And on page 15 of the select board packet and in your agenda, you go over how to fill commissions, committees, and vacancies. It is not out of order to establish a new committee, but you do need to properly warn it. And the members of the committee need to apply just like anybody else in town who applies for committees. Because, you know, I, like many of the people on those committees, serve on 2, 3, 4 committees, but we always want members of the community to be aware of opportunities and everyone to have the same equal opportunity so that we're inclusive and that we do have diversity, which is mentioned in your goals for establishing this committee. So I would just say, I do think establishing the committee is proper, the resolution is proper, but at your next duly warned meeting, on the agenda, you should have the committee and the vacancies listed and encourage everyone, especially at town meeting, to apply for all of these vacancies, including this new committee. Thank you, Chair.
As I mentioned, time is of the essence. This is a short-lived committee. I would ask that the board accept the group this evening.
We already did.
I already did. Never mind, I already did. So we're just voting on the resolution.
We actually have a motion on the floor at this point in time to adopt the resolution.
Yeah.
And I think there's people that want to speak to the resolution.
Yeah.
We're gonna vote on that?
Yeah.
Well, do they want to speak
Do they
during
want
the
to speak?
discussion part of this?
They have their own presentation after the resolution. It's about the plan.
Oh, okay.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, any abstentions?
And now the 250th committee would like to present to the board their request to officially recognize the play we most ardently.
Okay.
All right, instead of a presentation, I'm going to read what we prepared. To the honorable members of the Weathersfield Select Board. This year, 2026, marks a significant national milestone. The semi-quincentennial of the American independence, its 250th anniversary. And offers communities across the country the opportunity to reflect thoughtfully on the ideals, debates, and human struggles that shaped our founding era. Given Weathersfield's own deep historical roots to the 18th century New England, we believe the town is especially well positioned to participate in the national commemoration through cultural and educational programming. We respectfully request that the select board of the town of Weathersfield formally recognize the play we most ardently desire by our lifelong Weathersfield resident, Patty Arison, as Weathersfield's official contribution to the 250th celebration. We most ardently desire is an historically grounded dramatic work that brings this period vividly to life, inviting audiences to engage with the moral, political, and personal dimensions of the revolutionary moment here in Vermont. The play brings to life the signing of the Articles of Association, a document that Patty found actually here in Weathersfield Records that was sent. This document originally had been sent to all the towns in Cumberland County. Now, Cumberland County basically was the eastern portion of Vermont, including what is now Windham and Windsor County. So anyhow, the articles basically bound, if you voted for them, the town to the support of confronting the British Crown and was incipient on supporting what became the revolution. Anyhow, the play was first, actually, the play has been performed. We did it last year in October at the Weathersfield Center Meeting House. A number of people who are not on the committee were actually part of this play that are here tonight. A preview of the play and interviews with key parties were aired on Vermont's WCAX TV in October. And the play can be viewed in its entirety on Springfield Public Access TV. Now, we plan to present the play once again during July this year at the fort at number 4 in Charlestown. They're apparently excited to have us do this. In order that we commemorate the year 250th year of independence, which in fact is this year, not last year. Official recognition and support of the select, or by the select board, I should say, would underscore the town's commitment to historical reflection, civic education, and the arts, while also including community participation in a meaningful anniversary observance. We ask that the select board officially endorse this play as Weathersfield's official contribution to the 250th commemorations. Finally, the Vermont Historical Society, the Friends of the Weathersfield Proctor Library, and the Weathersfield Historical Society already have provided funds for the October performance of the play. We are actively seeking funds from multiple sources, grants, that sort of thing, for the July performance of this play. And we would be most grateful for any financial support that the board can provide. Thank you for your time, for all of your consideration and listening patiently to us.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Mr. Fuller.
I'd like to speak. I don't have a question for John, but I'd like to speak. So, I don't, do I need to be up there or no?
Yes.
I don't. I was a member of that play. And I would like it if they went, and I'm glad that John at the very last paragraph mentioned some financial responsibility or any gifts that people could do. When I was in this, it took place before the United States was here. And Weathersfield is one of only 2 towns, I understand, that have a document like this. So I would ask the board to consider donating $1,000 and take it out of the rainy day fund, at least for now, so that the committee could have some money to navigate its way through this other presentation. I know there were costumes and other, I don't know, maybe that's not enough, but I think it's a good start for right now. I really do. Thank you.
I don't feel comfortable with the motion. I got it. Mike.
In response to the request Dave just made $1,000, that would need to be a future agenda item.
Yeah.
But we could, that's not a problem to do that. Make a motion to formally recognize the play we most ardently desire as Weathersfield, Vermont's official 250th commemorative contribution. Does that work?
Yes. Thank you. Second. Okay. Discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Was there anybody else that wanted to speak to that?
Anybody?
We went, I wanted to get the motion out, and then you went past further discussion. I don't know if there's anybody else that wanted to speak.
I guess John said it all.
Did I have a question from over here? Was there another question to answer?
Oh, no, I was just saying thank you guys.
Oh.
Thank you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you, and thanks to Patty for laboring over this for a year, 2 years? Yes, very long time. Thank you.
You're welcome. We'll see you at the next meeting.
Sounds good.
Next topic on the agenda is our police department discussion. I have something I'm gonna read before we start. It's a procedural statement. Good evening. Before we begin the police department discussion, I am establishing clear rules to ensure this meeting is orderly, efficient, and fair. This meeting is conducted under Vermont open meeting law and guided by Robert's Rules of Order. The chair will enforce time limits, recognize speakers, and maintain decorum. Public comment rules. Public comment will occur during the designated period only. Each speaker will have 2 minutes. The time limit will be strictly enforced. When your time expires, you must conclude immediately. Speakers may speak only once unless time allows additional rounds. Speaking procedure. Raise your hand and wait to be recognized. State your name and whether you are a Weathersfield resident. Direct all remarks to the chair. No crosstalk, no debate between residents, and no interruptions. Decorum. Personal attacks, profanity, and disruptive behavior will not be permitted. A warning will be given if necessary. Continued disruption will result in forfeiture of speaking time. These rules are not but limiting viewpoints. They are all about ensuring everyone has an opportunity to be heard and that the board can complete its work responsibly. We can proceed now. I will turn the meeting over to the town manager to give a public statement. Please allow the town manager to finish his entire statement, and then we will take questions as time permits.
Just one question. Do you have a time?
I do.
As you may be aware, last week, the select board unanimously voted to terminate the town's contract with the Windsor County Sheriff's Department. I recognize that there is limited public information in advance of that decision, and there are limitations on what can be discussed publicly at this time due to the ongoing investigation by the Vermont State Police into the Windsor County Sheriff's Department. However, I'd like to provide some context and explanation here this evening. So bear with me. I've created a statement to be as comprehensive and go as far as I can go tonight without interfering with any ongoing investigations. So I want to be clear up front, this was not a reactive decision. This was a proactive decision. After the select board voted in executive session to terminate the contract, we immediately began working with the town attorney to determine what information can be legally and responsibly shared for the town. We have a duty to protect the town and mitigate liability, especially given the number of ongoing matters. There is currently a state financial audit underway, and a forensic audit may follow. That review pertains to the department's finances as a whole. In addition, the sheriff has been arrested on multiple criminal charges and remains unreachable, and that criminal investigation is ongoing. He has not stepped down from his position, and the current chain of command lacks clear, consistent decision-making authority, raising legitimate concerns about stability, oversight, and leadership. Following a termination decision, the officer currently in charge indicated that the department may not be able to meet its contractual obligations through the 120-day notice period, let alone the remainder of the 5-year agreement. That information required immediate action by this board. We promptly began discussions with the Vermont State Police and neighboring municipalities to ensure continuous police coverage while we stand up a department. We have a timeline in place, whether that results in a regional model or the reestablishment of the Weathersfield Police Department or other viable public safety option. If the sheriff's department is unable to provide service through the 120 days, we are prepared to implement temporary service agreements to ensure uninterrupted public safety. Most important, public safety will not lapse in this town. When the town contracted with the Windsor County Sheriff's Department in June of 2025, we were in a leadership transition ourselves. At that time, entering into an agreement with the Sheriff's Department appeared to be the most viable option for the town. The agreement called for policing coverage, emergency response, and increased patrol visibility within the approved municipal budget. In the months that followed, the level of coverage in Weathersfield frequently exceeded the 100 hours per week outlined in the contract. Residents noticed that presence, and it was appreciated. We had a significant policing presence in this town. However, as we reviewed the arrangement, it became clear that the volume of service being delivered significantly exceeded the amount of money that we had allocated to this effort. The sheriff personally from the town of Windsor drove here and responded to many calls in our community himself at night, oftentimes, and he would call me. And while those additional services were not billed, that model was not sustainable long term, especially with the sheriff not being present at this time. We've lost significant coverage. During budget discussions in December and January, the Sheriff's Department informed us that substantially increased funding would be necessary to maintain the level of service being provided. The requested figure approached nearly $500,000. A tax increase of that magnitude in a single fiscal year was simply not feasible for this community, given the information that we had and what was disclosed to us. At the same time, broader concerns emerged regarding the department's financial management and long-term sustainability. A financial investigation is currently underway. Even prior to the sheriff's arrest, we were already engaged in discussions about the operational stability of the department. To our understanding, the department does not have a designated accountant. It has not adopted a formal annual budget since at least 2024 and has experienced financial management deficiencies, including cash flow challenges, lack of regular bank reconciliations, and insufficient fund segregation, among various other financial issues. There is no long-term capital replacement plan for vehicles, and the proposed funding increase was not supported by detailed financial analytics sufficient to justify the request that was provided to me. Taken together, these issues raise serious concerns about sustainability and long-term coverage for this town. I want to be clear, if a detailed data-supported budget and operational plan had been presented, we would have continued financial discussions. But I will not stand here as your town manager and recommend a substantial tax increase without justification and transparent financial documentation. My responsibility is to ensure stable, sustainable, and fiscally responsible public safety services for Weathersfield. Not just for today, but for the long term. In conjunction with these budget realities, the town learned that the Vermont State Police were investigating the finances of the Sheriff's Department. This raised concerns about the long-term sustainability of the Sheriff's Department and its ability to provide consistent, reliable policing services to the town of Weathersfield long-term. Then, several weeks ago, we learned that the sheriff himself had been arrested and has been charged with a number of crimes. The potential repercussions for the Sheriff's Department and its staff from this arrest, as well as from the department's financial challenges, was cause for further concern. Then, in subsequent discussions with Sheriff Department personnel, we were informed that the level of policing they could offer was likely to change. That overtime services would no longer be available, and that some of its deputies may be leaving the department. This would likely result in significantly reduced staffing levels compared to when the contract was signed in June of 2025. The sheriff's department also had made 2 separations in October of 2025, which had already reduced overall police coverage during the fall. The town was informed by current leadership the sheriff's department has 2 deputies that would be gone by mid-March. We have seen an impact from these changes at the sheriff's department since January. We have observed a measurable decline in patrol presence and response coverage compared to prior months. These events presented a number of critical questions for the select board. If the town continued under the existing contract, would we reliably receive the level of policing services that the town of Weathersfield residents had become accustomed to? And 2, does contracting with the sheriff's department provide long-term stability for policing in this town? After extensive deliberations and consideration, the board members unanimously voted to act proactively to end the contract with the sheriff's department and to transition into an arrangement that provides the town with greater control over the operations and management of its police. Now, to be clear, the select board's decision to end our contract with the Windsor Sheriff's Department is not a criticism of individual deputies who have served professionally in this community, and we are very appreciative of their work in this town. Rather, the board's decision was grounded in what they determined to be in the best interest of the town of Weathersfield. And what is the most sustainable and achievable long-term solution and predictable policing within the town of Weathersfield at a cost that is fair to the town's taxpayers. So now I want to look forward. Where are we going? Initially, I want to emphasize that it remains our top priority that there will not be a lapse in policing coverage during this transition. We have nearly 4 months before the sheriff's department's policing services will cease, and we have been in contact with other nearby police forces and state police to make sure there will be coverage during this transition. If the sheriff's department cannot meet its 120-day notice requirement, we would pay for reduced services to them. So let's say instead of them only being able to do 100 hours, they could do 40 hours. We would pay for 40 hours, and then we'd contract out the other 60 hours. Any gaps in coverage would be filled through temporary contracted service agreements with neighboring towns and the Vermont State Police until we can get up and running. However, we have been running. I can tell you that. So we have initiated discussions, and I want to start this off by saying this is just one of the options that we're exploring. Nothing is predetermined. No decisions have been made. We are in the process of determining the best long-term solution for policing in the town. We've initiated discussions with the towns of Reading and Cavendish to evaluate the formation of a regional police department that will enable the towns to combine resources and build a department that is stronger than any one town could support on its own. Individually, these are small Vermont communities. Together, the 3 communities represent approximately 5,000 residents. For towns of this size, operating fully independent departments can be difficult to sustain over time. A regional model offers structural efficiencies and operational advantages, including shared staffing across town lines to improve coverage consistency and reduce gaps caused by leave or turnover, reduced overtime exposure through coordinated scheduling, consolidation of administrative, supervisory, and compliance functions to reduce duplication, coordinated capital and equipment planning to avoid unnecessary redundancy, and strengthen modernization efforts, improved competitiveness for grants and shared resource opportunities, greater operational depth, training and supervisory resilience, strengthening overall public safety stability, and costs that can be allocated fairly based on call volume and service demand, rather than each town independently bearing full administrative overhead. An example of this is the transfer station. Costs were going to significantly increase. We developed a partnership with Reading and West Windsor And we have a fair allocation formula that dropped the cost that we were looking at for the town of Weathersfield, and it allocated that on a fair allocation basis for the three towns. And that agreement has been going very well for many years. I believe that we adopted that back in 2022. So Reading has been a strong partner with the town. You know, the variable expenses are a little bit different. Those are based on punch tickets. But the fixed costs are shared between the three towns, and then everybody's responsible for purchasing their own punch tickets. So just a comparison of what a fair allocation would look like. This approach is not about reducing service. It is about aligning staffing, funding, and governance in a way that is predictable, transparent, and sustainable over the long term. A regional department would also preserve local oversight through an intermunicipal agreement approved by any town that would be open to joining this effort. Allowing participating towns to retain control over budgeting, policy development, and performance expectations. Most importantly, a regional model allows us to build a department designed intentionally for long-term sustainability, aligning staffing levels, financial commitments, and service expectations to meet the town's needs in a predictable and transparent manner. The goal of a regional model is not to reduce service. Rather, it is to build a stronger, more stable public safety structure that reflects the size, geography, and needs of our communities. Now, we're still in the early planning stages and no final structure has been adopted. I also want to be clear that a regional police model is one of our options that we're exploring. We're exploring all of our options. That's why we're here tonight. This is why there's a meeting on Thursday to explore one of the town's options, which is developing a regional police department. And that is why discussion will continue over the coming months as the decision-making process progresses. So I want to thank everybody for taking the time to come here tonight. I hope that provided everybody with enough information to explain why we terminated our contract, and then also enough about what we've been doing to either develop a department, whether it be regional or not, and any other viable option that gets presented to us. Any questions?
Anything online?
Hey, my stuff down.
Yes, you may.
You may go sit down, you may not stand there. You're on your own.
That's it.
Any questions or comments?
Questions? Have you guys got all your questions answered? That's good to hear.
I got a question.
You stand up and say who you are.
Greg Herschel from Weathersfield. One thing I've heard is where they're looking at the regional type thing or police station, and they're looking at, from what I've read, that they're gonna be looking at putting the police station here in the Scotney. I said the bigger firehouse, why not have the fire department there versus in West Weathersfield? Use that fire station for the police force, because if you get a community police force, that would be more regional to the other towns.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, and I'll definitely pursue that. I'll look into it.
Okay, we'll move on the agenda then. Future agenda items.
That would be the $1,000 donation request that Mr. Fuller
Yeah.
presented.
Yeah, we'll add that to a future agenda item.
I have two questions. Status.
Thank you.
Two permits for the Santa. And status of water feasibility study. We get updates on both of those.
It was supposed to be first.
The 250 permit for the bow sample.
So I will give an update on that. You know, I can study about it.
Awesome.
Appointments, we don't have any appointments. Any other business? Does anybody have any other business? Okay, approve the warrant.
Motion to approve the warrants dated February 23rd, 2026. General fund payroll total $16,652.13. Operating expense $57,001.47. Highway fund payroll total $11,986.70. Operating expense $20,299.45. Solid waste management fund payroll total $2,246.25. Operating expense $17,433.16. The library payroll total $2,648.76. Operating expense $0. Grant BR 372 reappraisal for a total operating expense of $20,167.60. Grand totals payroll $33,533.84. Operating expense $114,901.68.
Their second.
I can second that.
Okay. What is the grant for the BR 1372? Do you know what that is for the 12,917.60?
Let me take a peek at that.
Do you understand for bridge? By any chance?
It did.
Let me see, what page is it on, Kelly?
That's the warrant.
That's the warrant.
Okay.
It's that last little section.
Back 17.
Should be in this detail.
I think it's a culvert. I can't remember, it's Brandon.
Yeah, it's the culvert. I
Yeah.
found it. Page 101, the last, of the special revenue.
Yeah.
Okay,
And that's for obviously a grant.
yeah,
Which culvert are we talking about here?
a culvert for something.
I am not 100% sure, but I can look into it for the next meeting.
That was a question I did have, but I can bring it up.
Okay, all those in favor of the warrant as is?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions, motion carries.
My question was, we used to get updates from the highway department and we haven't been getting those.
He's been super busy this storm, but I'll have him come in to the next meeting and give an update.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Done.
Everything.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, everybody, for coming.
Yeah. It's a good thing for them. I know it's out of the very normal process. And if you went-
Yeah,
Took me by surprise and like, for this.
How'd you like that, John?
They only.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing?
Just like support if it's gonna be not an unconditional. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.